everybody, and welcome to night number 12 of History Bedtime Stories in our pajamas in bed. Tonight, I've been missing being a tour guide. So I was going through some of my old postcards and I came across this one. Now, this is a postcard that was postmarked in 1912, but it's an image from 1908. And what it shows right here, that's a tour guide bus. That is actually a sightseeing car popular in Detroit from 1905 to the 1915-16 summer season. See how it's open air and super badass? But this sightseeing car was visiting a location that if you were a tour guide in Detroit at the turn of the century, you absolutely would take your guests to. This is the Belle Aquarium. And while you're wrapping your head around the idea that there were tour guides in Detroit 115 years ago, I want to talk to you about the beautiful Belle Aquarium. The aquarium opens on August 18th, 1904. It is the brainchild of this guy named David E. Heineman. And Heineman was a lawyer here in the city of Detroit. He goes on this great trip to Naples, Italy. And while he's there, he visits the Dorin Aquarium. And he gets this idea in his head. He's like, Naples has a public aquarium. Detroit needs a public aquarium. We need to go see the fishies. So he comes back to Detroit and he convinces city council to pass legislation setting aside $150,000 in May of 1899 to start work on an aquarium. The money is put in place and they hire the architectural firm of Nettleton and Kahn. Now, sadly, Nettleton dies and Albert Kahn is continuing on with the project by himself. He enlists the help of an old friend, an old colleague, George D. Mason, but it doesn't work. The relationship kind of dissolves, the partnership dissolves, and Kahn goes it alone to complete the aquarium for August 18th, 1904. He comes in, he's a little bit over budget. He spends $165,000 instead of the appointed $150,000, making the completion of the aquarium, adjusted to 2020 numbers, cost about $4 million. But it is a huge hit from the moment it opens. You've got wonders of the engineering world with the fact it has over 50 tanks. It has 5 miles of plumbing and filtration to support those tanks. It has both saltwater creatures and freshwater creatures. 5,000 people visit in the first day alone. 500,000 people in 1904, just in the 1 year. By 1911, the aquarium sees 871,000 visitors in a single year. When visitors walk inside the aquarium, they're greeted by these arched halls with tanks inset into the walls. The archways were done in a glass green tile that gave it the appearance of sort of being underwater. Skylights made these glass tiles shimmer and shine, and it really did feel like you were swimming below the waves. The aquarium originally has this great fountain right at the center of its exhibits. That aquarium is removed in the 1950s to install an 8,531-gallon central tank. That tank allows 11 different species to be added to the collection of the aquarium. Now, the aquarium remains a very popular space for Detroiters and for visitors to the city to go many, many times a year. During the Great Depression, 1929 to the start of World War II, 1940, 1941, we really see the aquarium flourish. But during the Great Depression, it becomes too expensive to manage. And the city government decides they can no longer support buying 95,000 gallons of seawater a year, salt water, to keep those animals alive. So the decision is made that all of the saltwater fish will be removed, including Big Pete. Now, Big Pete was this giant, huge, 110-pound sea turtle. And sadly, with no aquarium or zoo willing to take Big Pete, he and most of the saltwater fish end up being sold at the fish market in town. And Big Pete, famed creature of the Belle Aquarium, beloved animal of Detroit, ends up in turtle soup served in the bread lines of Detroit during the Great Depression. We have a massive renovation to the aquarium in the 50s, installing that central tank. In the 70s, the aquarium again goes under a renovation, but from 2005 until 2012, the aquarium is forced to close. It closes to the public, but an amazing group of volunteers called the Friends of the Belle Aquarium keep it running. That helps distinguish it as the oldest operational aquarium in the world as we sit today in 2020. When the aquarium reopened in 2012, it was to great excitement and hoopla. And today the aquarium averages over 2,500 visitors a week, year round. Some summer weeks top over 8,000 visitors. It is a true gem of Detroit architecture, a view back into how we used to preserve zoos, aquariums, and conservancies all over the world. Today, the aquarium doesn't house super large animals because their tanks wouldn't make it humane by today's standards. But it's still showing up in postcards. This postcard is from 1971, showing the tanks at the aquarium holding my very favorite thing in all of the aquarium, the seahorses. Now the aquarium is focusing largely on Michigan native animals, and last year they were able to bring the gar back to the aquarium, having all 7 varieties of Great Lakes freshwater gar on display, and a weather vane was added in 2015 on top of the aquarium, which is of course a gar. Guys, we'll see you tomorrow night at 8 again. Like and share this video. And if you're feeling creative, we'd love to see your drawings of sea life and creatures and lake animals. If you put them in the comments, we'll reward 5 people with random holographic, super cool, vinyl stickers of Detroit. Wash your hands. Be nice to each other.